What is going on, everybody in the Wilson Auto Detailing community? Welcome to the first question and answer that we've had for a long time. I'm glad you guys are here. What I'm going to do, if you guys are watching on the replay, go ahead and skip forward about anywhere from like 90 seconds to like 120 seconds. Skip forward like 2 minutes because this is just going to be a time to wait for a few people to get on the stream and to welcome everybody in. So, if you're on the replay, go ahead and skip forward. But for those of you who are already here, make sure to tell me where you're from. Where are you watching from right now? Jordan Day, what's up? Anthony, what's up? Carlos, what's up? Sorry. Carlos said I put an alarm for this to remind me. So excited. I'm so glad. Anthony says that he's watching all the way from California. So guys, we're just going to wait for some people to get on because I always like to give just a little bit of time to make sure people are here. So Bill is watching from Peculiar, Missouri. Is that the city? Peculiar? What an interesting name. Peculiar, Missouri. Brandon is from, actually he hasn't put it in here yet. Brandon is watching from, let's see, North Carolina. And we've got Jordan Day from Georgia. We've got Mark from New Jersey. We got Johnny Bravo from Valley Center, California. I used to watch Johnny Bravo all the time when I was a kid. Keith Moss from Chattanooga. Keith, I want to live in Chattanooga. I was just talking to my fiance about how badly I want to live in Chattanooga. I want to live in East Tennessee so badly. It's so pretty. Bill, south of Kansas City. Yeah, okay, very cool. Adam is watching from Rome. So we have the whole world here. Big Dog Bulldog. What an awesome username. Is watching from Toronto. Very, very cool. Scott is watching from Lee University. Wait a second. There's no way this is true. No way. Okay, moving on. Okay, so let's see. Jordan McGrath from Ireland. I want to go to Ireland. My roommate goes to Ireland a lot. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, guys. To start off this live stream, number one, I'm going to answer a couple questions that were already asked for me to put in this live stream. As I'm answering these couple questions, please post your questions in the live chat right now because the entire hour is going to be dedicated to questions and answers. So if you have questions about products, if you have questions about detailing business or customer acquisition or online search engine optimization, all that sort of stuff, anything related to detailing, ask the question. Put it in the live chat right now, and as I answer these 3-ish questions, I'm going to get to y'all's afterward. Scott said, what pen is this? This pen is a Lee University pen. Okay, so moving on. So here we go. The first question that I would like to answer, because it was such a great question, is how do you know when you're doing, and by the way, we had people from South America in here a lot because I do some of my videos in Spanish. And so if you're from South America and you only speak Spanish, then ask your question in Spanish and that is totally fine. Entonces, si ustedes están aquí de Sudamérica y solo pueden hablar en español, está bien si puede preguntarme en español porque voy a contestarle en español también. Entonces, so here we go. The first question, how do you know when you're doing paint correction? How do you know if the paint is hard or soft? So for those of you who are beginning in the detailing world, maybe you don't know. And by the way, guys, as I'm answering questions, I'm going to try to answer them quickly so I can get through a lot because normally I don't answer them quickly. So I'm going to try to be speedy, okay? In the detailing world, sometimes you hear people say, use the term hard paint or soft paint, okay? So when they're talking about hard paint or soft paint, what they're talking about is when you're doing paint correction, another way to think about that is how quickly or how easily does paint get corrected? And maybe that's not the best way for you to think about it, but that's how I think about it. How how abrasive or aggressive does the polish or the compound have to be to actually correct the paint? So determining if paint is hard or soft, if paint is hard, it's going to be by nature harder to correct because it's more difficult to abrade the paint if it's harder because it withstands more abrasion. I hope I'm explaining that to a place where it makes sense. Whereas if paint is soft and it has a lot of swirls, using a lighter or a medium or even a more aggressive polish for a shorter period of time is going to correct that paint quicker because the paint does not withstand as much abrasion or pressure or things like that. So I think that's the best way to think about it. And so the question becomes, which paint is hard and which paint is soft? And again, this is very technical in the detailing world. So the question I'm answering right now is this is like the nitty gritty. So most of you don't have to worry about this, but if you're doing high level paint correction, which I do in my business as well, you're skilled on a rotary buffer and you're, DAs, all that sort of stuff, this is a question you might be concerned about. Many detailers make these broad statements that all Corvettes have hard paint or all Hondas have soft paint, and that's not true. You can't paintbrush all these cars the same, though certain manufacturers do tend to create paint in a pretty consistent way. Not every car is the same. So I think the best answer to your question is the only way you can truly tell if paint is hard or soft is after you've already started correcting it. So after you've started correcting, after you've started polishing, and you're checking your work, then you're going to be able to see how quickly or how slowly it's being corrected, in which case you can see how hard or soft it is. However, by and large, and again, this is kind of a broad statement, by and large, Corvettes tends to produce cars that have harder paint. By and large, Honda tends to produce cars that have softer paint. A lot of times people say Ford F-150s have hard paint, okay? So you can look up these kind of broad statements, but once again, the best answer is just after you've started correcting, check your work and see what it looks like, see how hard or soft it is depending on how much work you're having to put in, how aggressive your polish or your compound is, all those sort of factors. The second question is, how do you dress all-terrain tires and how do you protect truck bed covers? Which is a good question because most trucks have all-terrain tires, or at least a lot do, and what they mean by all-terrain is that they have those really big notches and knobs. They're like off-road tires. The best way to dress an off-road tire, if you ask me, is you can hit the inner part of the tire that doesn't have all of the knobs on it with like Chemical Guys VRP, for example. It's a gel application. Whereas when you're addressing the knobby part of the tire, you can't dress that with a gel because it would take forever to get in all that with a sponge. So just go ahead and use like an aerosol can dressing. Personally, I love Stoner's Tire Shine. It comes in an aerosol can, it's awesome, and you're just going to spray that part, okay? It's also good when you're dressing a car with a gel dressing. A lot of times the gel can miss some of those tiny little slots and like slits in the tire because tire manufacturers are like kind of making these interesting designs on tires. So after you've dressed it with a gel, quickly spray. Just one quick pass of aerosol can dressing because it fills in all the empty spaces and it creates a much more uniform appearance. The third quick question is, where do I detail? Because I just made a video that said, do you need a water tank and a generator? And the answer that I said was no, absolutely not. And so people's response to that was, well, if you're detailing at like an office building or if you're detailing at an apartment building, how do you do that without a water tank? And the answer for an apartment building is simply that most apartment buildings where I live have like car washing stations that are hooked up to a pressure washer. They've got electricity, all that. So I just drive the customer's car to that part of the apartment complex and I detail it there. I don't really detail at at office buildings, because most of the people who detail at apartment buildings, they're just doing big washes. And I find that most of the money is not in that area of detailing. So there you go. I cater to the higher end clientele, to people who are willing to spend the bigger bucks to get their car detailed. So I'm not, washing a ton of cars with a pressure washer. That's grunt work, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so let's see here. Mark Kraus said, do you use coatings? And if you do, then what kind of coatings do you use? And the answer to that question is yes. By the way, for those of you who don't know, when somebody says the word coatings in the detailing world, at least if you ask me, more often than not, they're referring to something called a ceramic coating, okay? A ceramic coating is basically like a sealant on steroids, okay? So a ceramic coating forms a protective layer, much like a clear coat does, on top of the clear coat of the car. And ceramic coatings last anywhere from around 2 to 7 years, depending on the company, the brand, the specific type of ceramic coating. At a molecular level, and you guys might not be interested in this, but at like a chemistry and sort of molecular level, ceramic coatings are basically, you have two kind of, I actually have some notes about this. Let me pull these out. Let me shake sorry I'm shaking the camera, but just a second. This is actually a very good way to answer your question because it helps. The more you understand, the better job you can do. So if you understand more, then you offer more value. So let me make sure I'm saying all of this correctly so that I don't confuse anybody. But basically, at a molecular level, ceramic coatings are made basically built of something called silicon dioxide, which is what glass is, basically. So, let's see here. Sorry for the pause, guys, but I want to make sure that I've got this correct. But maybe it's not on this sheet. Maybe I have it on a different one. Okay, so silicon dioxide, basically what I'm saying is silicon dioxide is what glass is made of, and so a lot of people even call ceramic coatings glass coatings, because basically what a ceramic coating does is act as a clear coat, but in some cases it's even more protective than a clear coat, which is why ceramic coatings are so expensive to put on and why they run such a high dollar price, because not only do they kind of act as a superior clear coat, but they also require you to do paint correction before you actually apply it. So basically, a ceramic coating is synthetic. Okay, so as opposed to like a wax that is made of like some parts of carnauba, a ceramic coating is synthetic. And so the silicon dioxide, it makes this sort of suspended like resin on the car, where to the point where you could, in some cases, instead of washing your car, you can just take a hose and move it over your car and everything's gonna come off. And so the ceramic coating acts as this sacrificial layer. The reason it's so expensive is because number one, it's such an awesome product and it's such a protective thing to put on your car. And number two, before you apply ceramic coating, you have to do paint correction. Otherwise, you're going to seal in all of those swirls onto the paint. So you have to do a certain level of paint correction. Now, the level of paint correction you do is up to you and up to your customer. However, you have basically two schools of thought in the ceramic coating world. You have OptiCoat, and then you have Ceramic Pro. Ceramic Pro, more often than not, is about it scores about a 9 on the hardness level. There's something called like the hardness scale, if you ever took like geology, is measured from, I believe it's 0 to 9. Is it 0 to 9, or does it go into the -9 to +9? I can't remember exactly, so don't quote me on that. But it's basically how hard something is. That's the simple way to say it. And the Ceramic Pro normally scores about a 9, so it's an extremely hard protective layer. The reason I'm spending so much time answering this question is because ceramic coatings are like the new up-and-coming thing in the detailing world, and it's important to understand, I think, what they are. So Ceramic Pro is silicon dioxide. I want to make sure I'm saying that. Actually, no. Rewind. Ceramic Pro is not silicon dioxide. I believe Ceramic Pro is like a silicon carbide. It's silicon with one carbon. And then OptiCoat is silicon dioxide. So silicon with 2 oxygens. But anyways, that's kind of more than you need to know. But it makes the hardness different. It kind of makes the application a little bit different. And so I think it's important to understand at a chemical level what is actually happening. So anyways, to answer your question, yes, I do apply ceramic coatings, and I use Ceramic Pro. I use OptiCoat. Those are basically the 2 that I use. Normally, because of my YouTube channel, I have certain companies reach out to me and send me ceramic coatings to try. So I am going to make a ceramic coating playlist for you guys, and it's going to be awesome. So Aldo says, ¿cuánto cobras por lavar un carro de 3 líneas adentro? Ok, Aldo, voy a contestar a tu pregunta en un momentito, porque necesito contestar más preguntas en inglés primero para la demás, porque la mayoría de la gente que están en este llamado hablan inglés. Entonces, dame un minuto. So, Jordan Day says, what grit sandpaper do you recommend using for scratches? It's a great question, but the issue with the question is it varies, because depending on the depth of the scratch and depending on the situation, I'm going to use a different level of sandpaper, a different level grit. For deeper scratches, where I'm going to have to take off a pretty significant layer of the clear coat to remove that scratch, I'll start with a lower grit sandpaper like 1,000 or 1,500. I normally don't go lower than 1,000 on the paint. I don't think that's a good idea. I actually normally don't go lower than 1,500 on the paint. And then, of course, you just increase from there as you begin to polish away your scratches. But again, Jordan, the issue is it depends on the depth of the scratch and it depends on the situation. If it's not a very deep scratch at all, I'll go 3,000 and just sand it away and then quickly polish. Eric Matson says, at what point in time do I need to go from a cash business to sole propriety and get insured? Eric, it's actually a great question because it's something I've been thinking about a lot as well. Not the sole proprietor area, but the insurance area. I don't think insurance, this is just my opinion, so you certainly don't have to take this as truth for you, because everybody's business is different. As far as insurance on your detailing business, I don't know how necessary insurance is unless you have people working for you, in which case they can mess something up and then you need insurance for that. So that would be like liability insurance. But as far as if you're very experienced and you're working for yourself and you're the only one doing it, I don't know that I would tell you insurance is extremely important. But as far as getting your business license, you have to go to your county clerk and ask, because every county is different. For example, in Williamson County in Tennessee, they don't really care if you have an official business license unless you make over, around $5,000 a year from that specific business. So every county is different. Maybe it's 10,000 for you. Maybe it's 1,000. You have to figure out what's their cap at it, where you exceed that cap, and you then have to get a business license and pay taxes on that income. Tyler says, what's the best way to make a black car shine? I don't know the answer to that question because every situation is different, but here's a good tip for you. As far as black cars go, a very simple, readily available product is Mcguire's Quick Wax, Quick Shine Wax, Quick Wax, something like that. And it actually, I've noticed there's a big difference between that product on a white car and on a black car. The black car really like complements that product. So definitely try that if you're looking for a quick shine on a black car. Let's see. I have an important question. What steps do you take or should you take to minimize toxic chemical inhalation while detailing and also for the customer's health? You guys are asking difficult questions because, once again, let me break down your question real fast. How do you minimize chemical inhalation while you're detailing? Well, wear a mask. I mean, that's the easiest thing I would say. Wear a mask. Keep the doors open while you're detailing inside so you're not trapping all that stuff in. But for your customer's health, I don't think I understand your question, because unless your customer's standing there with you detailing, they're not going to be breathing anything in. Let's see. T&D Auto Spa says big fan, or no, at the Big Feet on Instagram. Oh, okay, cool. Let's see here. There's so many questions, guys. If I don't answer all of them, I'm sorry. Let's see here. How long does it take for you to complete outside and inside dirty detail job? People ask me that question a lot. How long does it take me to do a full detail? By myself, it's a very subjective question because every situation is different, but let me just give you a very general answer. For a small SUV with 2 rows of seats, and let's say it's just averagely dirty, just generally dirty, I could get done with that by myself in around 4.5 to 5.5 hours. But because I now have some employees, that kind of car will get done in 2 hours. We could hit 4 of those in a day if we wanted to. Let's see here. But once again, I've been doing this for 7 years. I know how to cut to the chase, to get rid of all the BS, to get the job done the right way the first time. I know what I need to worry about, what I don't need to worry about. So a lot of that just comes with doing it and getting your feet on the ground. Malice Sin says, what are your end goals for your business? My end goals for my business is to create my auto detailing business with people working under me who can run the whole thing totally apart from me so that I can spend most of my time doing ministry. Because as a lot of you guys know, but maybe you don't know, Jesus totally changed my life 7 years ago and I've never been the same since. And I was an atheist about 7 years ago because I never saw Jesus in anybody. And all these Christians who told me they were Christians, they lived just like everybody else did. They were just as depressed, just as frustrated, just as angry. And I thought, well, I don't want what you say you have to offer because you're just like me. And then Jesus actually encountered me, and I saw who Jesus really was and saw how good God was, and that Jesus wasn't angry at me, he wasn't mad at me, but he actually loved me in spite of all the stuff and all the mistakes that I had made. And I told Jesus, if you'll save me right now, I'll do anything for the rest of my life. And so I'm a Christian, and that's my end goal for my business. I want my business to run itself with people who I can trust, who still give just as good results as I do, so that I can spend my time doing a lot of ministry. So, I hope that answers your question. T&D Auto Spa just super chatted me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support, guys. You're amazing. Okay. So Aaron said, ever thought of upgrading your Griot's Garage DA to a Rupe or a Flex? Yes, I have thought about that, and yes, I'll do it eventually, but the thing is, I use a rotary buffer most of the time, and then I follow up with the Griot's Garage DA. I know I haven't made a lot of videos about a rotary buffer. I will do that here coming soon. I'll make a playlist on how to be trained with a rotary buffer, but the rotary fixes so many things so much quicker than a DA. And then all I have to do is follow up my Griot's DA to get rid of any sort of buffer tracks or like anything like that. That it's not something that I have to have right now. It's more of a luxury than it is something that'll actually improve things drastically, if that makes sense. Irving Silva just asked an awesome question. He said, what do you do to go the extra mile for customers? Let's see here. So the extra mile. Well, one thing I do, I have a video about this, is when I'm finished detailing completely, I leave a little folded up microfiber towel with my business card and some mints inside of it right on the console. So they see that right when they walk in. So not only do they have a freshly detailed car, but they've got that little treat. So Aaron says, your Spanish is great. Did you learn from school or family? Aaron, thank you. I learned Spanish because I started taking Spanish in school when I was in 6th grade, and then I lived in Mexico for a while, and then I go back and forth to Mexico and Colombia and just South America. So let's see here. Bill said, do you have a video on how to apply ceramic coatings? I don't yet. I will very, very soon. Let's see here. Aaron says, why do you disagree with the 2-bucket wash method? Okay, so that's a good question. So let me explain. I don't think it's crazy to use 2 buckets to wash your car, okay? So for those of you, I'm not going to explain it right now, but for those of you who know what I'm talking about, the 2-bucket wash method, I think it's great. But my question is at a logical level. If you use 2 buckets to wash your car because you're minimizing scratching, then why wouldn't you switch to 3 buckets or 4 buckets or 10 buckets, because the second you dip your dirty like wash mitt into the water solution to clean it off, then that water is now full of all those contaminants. So I understand the logic. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be better to do a 3 bucket wash method? Wouldn't it be better to do a 4 bucket wash method if you really want to minimize scratching? Because by the end of the car, the second bucket is just as dirty as the first. And so what I'm saying is, wouldn't it be more logical to just use a new microfiber towel every time, or use a solution that really is, has a lot of like lubricants in it, so it reduces scratching at that level. I'm just saying, logically, when you deduce that argument, like, does that really stand as much as it should in the detailing world? That's my question. Mark says, come to San Diego and be my teacher. LOL. I wish I could, Mark, because I love San Diego, and I went there with my fiance like 2 years ago, and it was awesome. Okay. Do you use any Mcguire's stuff, specifically their professional detailer line or mirror glaze line? Yes, to quickly answer that question, I use Mcguire's super degreaser sometimes. I use Mcguire's all-purpose cleaner all the time, and I use Mcguire's 101 or 105 and 205 a lot to polish. So there you go. When is the right time to use a microfiber cutting pad? I can't answer that question entirely because it depends on the situation. As a rule, microfiber pads are trying to come into the industry and almost replace wool pads at a level, because microfiber pads are more dedicated for cutting, for aggressive, abrasive polishes. That's the idea, at least. Reese Wiersema? I'm a beginner, only been detailing for 1 year. Should I buy a shop vac or get a better one? You should buy the rigid 4-gallon vacuum. Look at my videos about it. It's awesome. Please don't waste your time with anything else. I promise you. Mark says, is waterless wash or maybe Optimum no rinse profitable to do often? I'm in San Diego, California, so laws are crazy. Go Optimum no rinse. I use Optimum no rinse on 90% of the cars I detail. Yes. I mean, it costs like $20 for a bottle. You use 1 capful per gallon. I mean, come on. Wash your car with a gallon of water and 1 capful of solution, and it waxes it, and it gives better results than the traditional soap and bucket and hose way, and you don't have to worry about water spots because you're using distilled water, and it's faster. Yeah, I would go with Optimum no rinse. Mark Kraus, are you going to offer detailing classes? I have actually been toying with the idea of offering online detailing classes that are more in-depth than my YouTube channel, that go into things like insurance, into things like deep website SEO optimization, things like really detailed stuff. So if you guys like that, leave a comment below and let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. All right, so Toby said, how can you truly detail a car in the sun? I always detail in the sun. 100% of my cars are detailed in the sun. I would make the argument that if a detailer does not detail in the sun, it's because he doesn't know how. He's not very good. And the shade and the shade from a garage or things like that hide imperfections that when you're in the sun, you see it completely. So if you can get a car perfect in the sun, you can do anything. Do you use Atom polishes, and if so, what are your thoughts on them? Atom polishes are great. They're a great company. And yes, I think they're great polishes. I would definitely, it's definitely something I would use if you're thinking about it. Rise says, I need to hire a guy or two for my business, but I'm concerned about them trying to steal the way I do business and products I use. Were you concerned hiring your 2 guys? No, I'm not. I would say, and this is just my opinion, totally my opinion, but I have never worried about competition, because I think you ought to be looking at your business in a way that says that you offer so much value and you're so good at what you do that you don't have to worry about competition. That even if somebody did steal your ideas, there's only one of you. Like, I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but the way I think about business and competition, I think, well, nobody is as good with people and my customers as I'm going to be. So 60% of the fight in the detailing world is not detailing. It's talking to your customers, building relationships with people, communicating with people. I just think, well, they're not going to be as good as that as I am. So even if they did try to steal it, it's not going to work. And you also got to think, do you know how much work it takes? You know how much work it took to get my business where it is now, to where my website is on the first page of Google and I'm getting 5 to 10 new customer calls a day and sometimes more than that. And the years of work that it took to get to that point, people are not willing to put in that work. Like, people are lazy. So it's just like, think about it. I also just think it's kind of a defeated mindset. When you think, they're going to just take my customers, it's just kind of a defeated, I don't live in that kind of perspective. Do you ever plan to expand and go bigger into your business? Yes, I do. Any thoughts on the Torque X DA polisher? It's good. I think the Torque is a good DA polisher. I think, yeah. I mean, whether you're really experienced or you're a beginner, that specific DA polisher would be great. I don't own it, so I can't speak a ton on it, but I do know about it. Nate Victory, thank you so much, man. I saw that you just super chatted. He said, thanks for your testimony. Awesome to hear young people excited about Christ. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm pumped about the fact that I get to be a son of God. That pumps me up. Okay. Let's see. Terry says, do you share your tips with your employees? Yes, I do, because I want them to work the way I do. Let me say this about employees. I haven't had employees very long, so this is just me coming from a very newbie perspective. If you can treat your employees very, very well, they will not want to do something that comes against your business. That's what I'm going with, at least. Okay. Aldo dice, yo soy cristiano, Dios te bendiga. Pues increíble, Aldo. Okay. Let's see. What's up, Luke? Thanks for all your tips and techniques. Love the videos. Keep them coming. Hey there, Wilson. I just joined in, but what's your thoughts on Spray 9 for carpets? As far as carpets and Spray 9 goes, I actually get that question a lot. That's kind of odd. I don't use Spray 9. I don't suggest it, just because for every single interior that I detail, I use Mcguire's all-purpose cleaner from their professional line, diluted 10-to-1, and Super Clean degreaser, diluted 5-to-1. I've just never had any other need for any other carpet cleaner, because nothing gets it that well as those two products do. So talk about simplicity with good results. Washington Correa, ¿cómo estás, amigo? Gusto en verte. All right. Robert says, when using a buffer, what kind of pad and polish do you start with on a bad clear coat car? So how about this? Here's some general rules to help you guys kind of have a foundation of polishing. For really, really bad cars that need a high level of paint correction, I'm always going to start, most of the time, with a rotary and a wool pad, okay? From there, I'll go to maybe a microfiber, okay, with a bit less abrasive compound. From there, I'll probably go to a foam with a finishing polish, okay? Now that's for some intensive, like 3-step, I mean, that rabbit hole gets deep, because let's assume the paint is really bad and you have to wet sand. You have to use a 2000 grit wet sand or sandpaper and wet sand the whole paint, and then go to a wool pad, and then go to this, and then go, it's just like, whoa. So here's what I always suggest to people. Start with Mcguire's 105 and 205. It's a great beginner's polish. It'll help you get an idea of what polishing is like. Start with a DA. Start with a microfiber and a foam pad. And just go from there. And just start testing out, comparing results, because you have to do it in your world to really see the kind of results you're going to get. Cash Baker says, do you ever wash mud-covered vehicles? If you do, Or if so, do you wash the undercarriage or do you talk with your customer to just focus on the paint and fender wells? Cash Baker. As far as dirty jobs like that, because I've built my business and run my business and cater to the higher end clients, if somebody's car is just wrecked on the outside, I will literally tell them, you will save money by taking it through a car wash, like an automatic car wash, because they're not concerned about the swirl marks. They're not concerned about the scratches. They just want their car shiny. So I explain all of that to them. And I say, if you're not concerned about polishing, if you're not concerned about scratches, just run it through an automatic car wash, knock all that stuff off, and then I'll focus on the details. But I'm not going to waste time, and you kind of be wasting money on letting me wash your car. I can do it. It's just going to cost you unnecessary money. And when you put it like that, they tend to just, if they really want you and you've communicated like the value you bring, then they're going to do that. And I have plenty of customers who do that. Luis Torres says, I am thinking to start my own business. How many customers do you think I have to make a full time for me? It depends. What I always tell people is if you're thinking about going full time in the detailing business, then you need to focus on internet, on your website optimization, because your website is what's going to save you. Like your website is what's going to keep the business coming in. It's going to get you new regular clients, but it's also going to get you new clients. And so focus on your website if you want to be full-time. Masood? He says, is there a specific reason why you don't use Chemical Guys products? I don't not use Chemical Guys products. I use Chemical Guys VRP for tires, vinyl rubber plastic. But the thing with a company like Chemical Guys is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but Chemical Guys has a product for everything, to the point where it makes me laugh. Like they're like, here's a product for the leather. Here's a product for black leather. Here's a product for white leather with black stripes. Here's a product for door handles. And I'm like, okay, guys, like, you have to understand that at a level, these companies are trying to make money off of you. They're trying to get you to spend what you have in your wallet. So they have not only a leather cleaner, but they have a plastic on the leather cleaner. And then they have a leather and cloth duo cleaner. And then they have a cloth cleaner. And then they have a carpet cleaner that can't be used on cloth seats. And it's just like, okay, like, really? So I just don't buy into the rabbit hole that Chemical Guys markets, if that makes sense. But I think they do have some really good products. So don't misunderstand me. Brandon says, do you think you'll ever get a shop or just stay mobile? I think I'll probably stay mobile just because mobile is, you can charge a fee for convenience at that point that I really like. Josh asked, what ministry am I a part of? I'm a part of a ministry called Every Nation, and basically we plant campus ministries and churches all around the world, so it's pretty awesome. Mark Krause says he wants to see some detail classes. The thing with detail classes, if I created an online course, it would have to be a paid-for course because of the amount of time and research it takes to put into something like that. It would be a paid-for thing. Carson Jones says, being 16 years old, is starting a detailing business a good choice, or would it be better to wait until college to get that rolling? Maybe give your story of your upcoming. Carson, what an amazing question. Number one, to answer your question quickly, please start your business now. Like, it amazes me how many people think that like they shouldn't start businesses because they're 16 or they're 14 or they're 10. I think the first customer I ever had in the detailing world was when I was like 12. And what I did was I had one shop vac and a bucket full of car soap, some microfiber towels, and some Armor All. And all I did was vacuum out people's cars, spray Armor All over everything, and then wash their car. And I charged $20 a car. My dad told me, Luke, and my dad's amazing because he's the one who like helped me start in this entrepreneurial thing. And I just can't imagine ever working for anybody else besides myself in my life. But my dad was like, charge $20 a car. And while that was good advice at the time, I charged $20 a car till I was like 14. I was spending like 4 hours on a car, charging $20. And there'd be people who sometimes wouldn't even tip me. And so it was just like, eventually I had to like make it click, like, oh, I'm getting gypped right now. But anyways, I started handing out flyers. I printed out flyers and I handed them out all over my neighborhood. And I didn't just hand them out. I knocked on people's doors. I introduced myself and I gave them the flyer. And I basically spent a summer I had people call me. I probably had, within the first month, I probably had about 10 people call me. And that was a big deal for me at 13 years old. And so I would pull this wagon with a big shop vac and my bucket all over it. My friends made fun of me, but the joke was on them because I was making money while they were not. So, ha ha ha. Anyways, and now, I have this business and, that there's just, you're building value, like you're building equity, like you're building much more than just like an income. Like you're building something that is worth something, and people don't think that way. So that's how I started. Eventually, basically long story short, I started handing out business cards everywhere I went. I started handing out flyers everywhere I went. I started getting regular clients from just that because I went crazy. I mean, there was one weekend where I put over 1,200 flyers in 1,200 doors. I mean, I was going nuts. And then I finally realized how powerful the internet was. I did all the research in the world to figure out exactly what I needed to do. And I launched my website about 2 years ago, and here I am. So when you're 16 years old, please start a detailing business. Please do not wait. Please start it where you're at. You will thank yourself. Let's see here. Let's see. This is a good question. It's difficult to answer, but I do want to address it. John Penna says, what's the average price to start at as a beginner detailer? Though I'm very serious about, your time is very valuable. You don't want to be giving your services away for free. Make sure you're charging a pretty penny. At the same time, on the same coin, you are beginning. And you have to get some sort of customer acquisition to even start making an income. So at the beginning, you may want to lower your prices a little bit so that you can continue getting more regular business because you're starting out. And that's just one of the things that you have to deal with starting out. Terry Bryson says, have you ever refused a job because the customer expects too much for too little? Yes. I literally was just on the phone with a new client who I said, I'm not your guy. I turn people away all the time because, once again, I'm not for everybody. And you ought to run your business with the same mindset. Because if you don't, you end up giving things away and giving your time away for free, and that's not cool. So this guy said, I've got a sedan-sized car. It's very dirty on the inside. I need it detailed. And I quoted him, and then he said, well, I was thinking, a full detail interior and maybe just a wash on the outside for like 120. And I said, I'm not your guy. Like I said for a I said 120 for the interior alone makes me question if I'm your guy, because I would charge you more than that for I had run through some questions and stuff with him, and I thought, wow, I would charge you more than 120 for the interior only. So I immediately said, listen, man, it sounds to me like what you're looking for is somebody who does things a little bit cheaper, a little bit quicker, and not quite the intensive process that my company or my business offers. So I think it's probably best that you look elsewhere. I think somebody else could probably get you where you want to be without spending the money. And I just turned him away because it just is what it is. I'm not that guy. But I was that guy 4 years ago. So just keep that in mind. So Stephanie just said that they started their business and they love my channel. They love the Wilson Auto Detailing channel and all the tips and tricks, and they've been running their detailing business for 2 months now. I love stories like that because it shows that this works. You know what I'm saying? The tips that are given on this channel, they work. Like, this is real time, real business strategy, like real tips, real tricks, real experience. Like, it works. Like, this will make you money. Frank McFarland, thank you so much, man. Frank, quick shout out. You've been here for like a long time. You've been here on the Wilson Auto Detailing community for a while. So, dude, thank you so much for always being a part. He just super chatted me. So I really appreciate that, man. Very, very grateful for all of y'all's support. Let's see here. What products should I start off with when I am just getting started? I actually have a video called like 10 products to start with as a beginner detailer or something like that. So look up that video. It'll help you. Terry says, since you're in the sun a lot, how do you protect from getting sunburn? Sunscreen. SPF 50 to be exact. Enzo Kid, thank you for help for everything that you do and taking the time to help us. He just super chatted me another little bit of money. I thank you so much, man. I so appreciate that. Once again, all you guys who are super chatting me and stuff, like, your support goes noticed, and I thank you. Like, thank you so much, because no, I don't do this to get that, but of course, it's I'm very grateful when I do, because it does, obviously take a lot of time to keep up with a YouTube channel and regularly staying in touch with everybody, and it certainly is a lot. Let's see here. Richard says, do you ever take a look at websites? I do, but I do charge a consulting fee. So for those of you who are interested, I'll just put it out there. I do charge about $35 an hour for consulting. As far as businesses, your detailing businesses are concerned, just because I do get a lot of calls, a lot of emails, and I can't give away all that time for free when I could be out there making money. So if you would like to talk about your specific situation in growing your business and like tailor everything to you so it can really help you, we could certainly buy an hour of time, 2 hours of time. And just so you know, $35 an hour for consulting is very, very cheap. I don't know how many of you have ever consulted other people to help with your business, but that is literally dirt compared to what other people charge. And I do that because I'm more interested in helping you than I am taking money from people. But once again, it's just a matter of not giving away time for free, because you end up losing money at that point. So if you're interested in that, email me at wilsonautodetailing3@gmail.com. I'd love to talk to you about that. Prestige Mobile Auto Detailing says, do you offer a warranty for headlight restoration? And if so, how long? No, because the way I do headlight restoration is a permanent fix. So for those of you who don't know, headlights end up fogging and yellowing and fading and getting cloudy most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, because car manufacturers are manufacturing a clear coat layer on the outside end of the headlight, and because most people don't wash their car on a regular basis and they don't keep up with things, that clear coat on the headlight gets really dirty and gets all buggy and just all sorts of stuff, and the clear coat starts to fade. So what I do is wet sand all that clear coat off and then polish away those sanding marks, and wow, I just blanked. Okay, polish away those sanding marks, and it's a permanent fix, because then all you're left with is the underlying plastic. And the plastic itself does not yellow or fade, assuming it's kept up with just a little bit. As long as the customer keeps up with it just a tiny bit, it's going to stay, it's never going to have that fading issue again. Mark Kraus, my email is wilsonautodetailing3@gmail.com. It's also beneath every single one of my YouTube videos. My email is listed below there. Let's see here. Brandon says, it takes a good person to go on live and explain how he built his business and help other people do the same. It's great to see how amazing people can still be. You're a great guy for helping everyone. Brandon, I appreciate that encouragement, man. Thank you so much. Prestige Mobile Auto Detailing says, wow, thanks. I always apply to Sealant. Yes. So Prestige Mobile Auto Detailing. I always apply sealant as well because once again, it reinforces that permanent thing because the sealant is obviously going to last longer than a wax. Let's see here. Richard says, are you good at ranking on Google in a city other than where the business address is listed? That's what I would need help with. Yes, actually. I rank in my own city, Murfreesboro. I also rank in Spring Hill, 30 minutes outside of Murfreesboro. I also rank in Franklin, 30 minutes outside of Murfreesboro. So, yes, there are strategies to do that. I charge a $50 flat rate and I'm 13. Is that too much? Too much? Heck no. If you're asking me, you're charging too little. But if you're 13 years old, then maybe that's where you have to start. And by the way, congratulations on being 13 years old and doing a business. I love that. Okay, so Invasion HD says, Wilson, what is a good cleaner? By the way, guys, my company is called Wilson Auto Detailing. My name is Luke. So if you want to call me by my first name, you can call me Wilson. That's totally fine. But my name is Luke. So feel free to call me Luke if you like. Interior cleaners, door jams, engine bay. Check out Super Clean Degreaser. I have a lot of videos on it. Check out Super Clean Degreaser. It's really an awesome product. What do you do on windy days? A lot of wind blowing dust. Stephanie, I don't have that problem, and I'm sorry. It's not very dusty where I live, so wind does not bother me. Let's see here. Vision outs. Oh, Hunter. Hunter just super chatted me. Hey, Hunter, thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate that. Let's see here. Louise Torres asks a great question. How far is too far to drive without a mileage fee? In my business, specifically, I include travel. No matter where I'm going, I include travel in the price of the detail. I just don't verbalize that all the time to my customers. But I personally don't go more than around 10 to 15 miles away without charging additional costs. Okay, I'm going to answer this in Spanish really fast. So for those of you who speak English, just give me like 60 seconds. Just hold on one second. Aldo me preguntó, ¿tú pones sellador en la pintura y después pones wax encima? Exacto, sí. Si vas a usar un sellador y también quieres usar un wax después, tienes que aplicarlo después del sellador porque la sellador es como una barrera de protección que es muy fuerte y el wax es un poco menos fuerte, es un poco más delgado más o menos. Entonces tienes que aplicarlo después porque el wax va a quitar más pronto, rápidamente. Y la selladora es más permanente, entonces. Okay, so is Super Clean safe on leather? And what should I use to protect the leather from cracks? Yes, it's safe for leather. Don't spray Super Clean directly onto the leather. Spray it on your applicator, then use your applicator. And then how do you protect from cracking? Every time you clean the leather, protect it with something. Protect it with something. That'll protect it from the UV rays of the sun. It'll protect it from dirt, all that sort of stuff. Kale's Videos says, Wilson, if you had to choose between detailing indoors with poor lighting or outdoors and detailing with the sun and the wind, which would you prefer? Outdoors with the sun and the wind every day of the week. Luis dice, or I'm sorry, almost went Spanish there. Luis says, I'm 18 years old and I just started my own business. I'm charging $35 for whatever car they have. Is that too low? Yes. 1,000 times yes. What sealant do you use on your cars every time? I use different types of sealants. Chemical Guys has a product called Jet Seal that's great. Biotech has a sealant called BioSeal, which I also like. Just depends. Different sealants have different kind of shelf lives as well, as far as how long they last on the car. Stephanie dice, hablas español muy bien. Pues muchas gracias, Stephanie. Todavía estoy practicando, pero estoy aprendiendo mucho, entonces. Aaron says, have you ever been late to a customer's house because of traffic, and how do you deal with late work, and will it upset customers? I've been late before. I'm rarely late. But if I know I'm going to be late because I'm stuck in traffic, customers tend to be very understanding, and I text them when I'm in traffic and say, hey, I know I said I'd be there at 9. I just got stuck in traffic, wasn't expecting it. It looks like it's going to be more between 9:15 and 9:30. Is that okay? And they're always like, yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Obviously, don't make a habit out of it, but life happens. Cash Baker says, what is the max price you charge for a max package detail, paint correction, and everything? There's no way to answer that question, but let's just say this. When I'm offering paint correction services, that can go anywhere from, without a detail, just paint correction, that can go anywhere from like $300 to, $1,500. I mean, it just depends. Have you ever had a customer complain about your work, and how do you deal with it? Yes, that's a great question. Yes, I have had customers complain about my work, and here's what I've learned. No matter how great of a detailer you are, there are some customers that you do not want to have, because you can nitpick anybody's work. Even the best of detailers, you can tear apart anybody's work. And so I can do the best job possible, better than anybody else would do, and the customer and you can still, nitpick it at a certain level. Because unless you spend 24 hours, 48 hours on one car, you're never going to get it literally perfect. But yes, I have had customers get upset with me, and basically how I deal with that is I just say, well, I've learned to communicate so much on the front end that if that does happen, I say, well, listen, I really felt like that we had communicated very clearly about this and that your expectations were going to be met. I do still need you to pay me the amount that we agreed upon, because we agreed upon prior to this job, but it sounds to me like next time you get a detail, it's probably not going to be by me. I'm sorry you're upset with the work. I definitely did everything I could to try to fulfill your expectations. I do apologize that that didn't happen, and I'm sure that you'll be able to find what you're looking for maybe somewhere else. You just deal with it, something like that. It's awkward, but that happens, That happens. Frank McFarland says, will you live stream the wedding? For those of you who don't know, I'm getting married on October 14th to the coolest, most beautiful, funnest, smartest, most creative, most hilarious girl that I've ever met in my entire life. Whew. Yeah, I'm pumped. Okay, guys, as we're ending, I just want to say this. For those of you who are a part of the Wilson Auto Detailing community and you really appreciate what I put out as far as videos and kind of things like this, one way that you can give back is very simple. I'm an affiliate of Amazon, and so beneath, I say this at the end of all my videos, but beneath all of my videos in the description box, beneath all my YouTube videos, there's Amazon links to every product or tool that I used in that video. If you want to buy any detailing products that I'm using, go in the description box and click my links. It takes you straight to the product on Amazon. And instead of just going to Amazon yourself and buying the product, buy it through my link, because it gives the channel a very small commission. It's very small, but it's a good little kickback for me for doing all this work, and it takes nothing away from you. You're not paying anything out of your pocket. You're just buying products like you normally would. And all you're doing is going through my link. Also, let me say this. Let me say this really fast. Even if you don't buy the product that I'm suggesting on Amazon, you can actually go through my link and buy anything off of Amazon, and I still get credit for it. I still get a commission for it. So for example, I had a guy just last week go through my link to Super Clean or something, and he bought a camera, and I got commission for the camera. So for example, if you guys are Amazon shoppers and you're buying anything on Amazon, just go to one of my random videos, click one of the Amazon links, and it'll take you to a specific product, but just stay on Amazon and search for whatever you're looking for. Just click off of the product. Don't click off Amazon, just click off the product and buy anything. Go grocery shopping, go Christmas shopping, whatever. But that's a way that if you guys are interested in paying me back and just saying thanks, it takes no extra effort from you. It takes no money out of your pocket. You're just buying things like you normally would, and it does help this channel out. So I did want to make you guys aware of that just because it is a good little kickback. So I'm going to answer one more question, then I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. So I'll leave it with this. Reese Wiersima, I need to learn how to pronounce that. Says, what do you think about a drill brush? And thanks for live streaming, and can you do more? Number one, I will do live streaming, and let me ask you guys this. When this video is posted, don't do it right now. When it's posted and you can put a comment below the video, tell me yes or no, would you guys like this summer, so May, June, July, August, the 4 months during summer, if I do a once a week live stream, question and answer, and kind of general content sort of stuff, one live stream a week like this, it's like an hour long or something. Tell me yes or no in the comments section if you'd like that. Last question, do I like a drill brush? Yes, I do like a drill brush. I think they're great. I haven't made a bunch of videos about them, but I'm sure I will do that in the future. All right, guys. And definitely, get a drill brush is a good investment, in my opinion. It's definitely a good investment. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you're new to the Wilson Auto Detailing community, consider subscribing because I come out with videos all the time like this that are not necessarily live streams on products, tools, strategies, communication skills, business skills, and so much more, all in an effort to help the pro detailers become more successful and profitable in their businesses. And on this channel, I share the exact strategies that turned my auto detailing business into a full-time income with only part-time hours. So if you're interested in that, then definitely consider subscribing. As always, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. I love you guys. I'm very grateful. I hope that it's communicated through the screen how grateful I am for you guys. This is just as much helpful and kind of encouraging and fun for me as it is for you. So guys, thank you so much for being involved here on the Wilson Auto Detailing channel. It means very, very much to me. I'm very grateful for all of you guys. I'm very grateful for your involvement. As always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I will see you guys in the next video.